Hello, it's me, another aspect of you showing up here in my humanity as rawly and truly myself as I can be moment to moment. I feel like I showed up on my platforms under the guidance of a mentor that I had a few years ago, expressing frequencies and um, expressions of frequencies that were pulling people into a new earth state of being. So the advice was don't share things that are going to suck people into a low vibration. That's certainly not my intention, but I feel like in intending to do this, I distorted the human aspects of myself and the process of embodying our spirit and our soul and our galactic coding in this time. So I am radicalizing that as part of my business restructuring and my service from my soul to be as authentically me here as I can, as strange, as imperfect, as unpolished, as pixelated as my my basic phone is, because I think it's important to see other people going through their experience that's not a polished gem. It's the authentic experience of ascension and descension is just not a shiny nugget. It's just not the totality of what is happening when we are coming home to our heart and our souls and ourselves. So if you see me showing up here a little differently, I've definitely had to work through some blocks and aspects of my self-concept that want to show up in a certain way. And it's been a beautiful process to delayer that for myself and to go into the parts of my identity that were coming forth to protect me or to keep me looping in an old pattern. And a lot of those began in my middle school, my high school years, masking the truth of my life experience. I was around peers who were experiencing a vastly different reality to myself, and I can see where a lot of distortion started creeping in around who the world responded positively to me being. So I overcompensated in a lot of ways and formed some deeply unhealthy patterns and ways of relating and showing up in this body that I am still recapitulating. Even last night, I was laying in bed and I could feel the aspects of my soul returning, like I can't explain. It was such a visceral process, but it was like there was like parts of my body that were a shell, and I was feeling my soul, like the dark cosmic soul that I am, like not a dark soul, but like it was black me, like cosmic black, dark mother womb black. And I was coming back into this vessel, into this body. And even the way that I feel today is like home again, home again. We come home piece by piece, little by little, and it's an unfurling and unfolding. I'm speaking mostly to the westernized experience of my peers and those that are drawn to my work. Of course, there's so many beautiful souls that have not experienced the separation that the souls who were born into Western conditioning are currently going through. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there and to explain a little more of the the experiences of galactic awakening and awakening in general that I've been through, because I feel like the paranormal has become my regular, and I forget until I'm talking to people who maybe haven't kissed the lips of the cosmic divine spirit of love, that what I experience day to day, moment to moment, is wildly different. All of us, of course, are experiencing different realities, but to have conversations with people about the access that I gained to galactic colonies of light, and of source energy, so not always of the light, as I've come home to myself, has been life altering, to change the least. It's changed the course of my entire reality. 5:55 on the clock just now. And after my initial galactic awakening in 2021, I had a 3-hour session with the Arcturian Council of the Light. I've shared this in a previous video, I believe. And all of my faculties, all of my psychic faculties came online instantaneously. It's 3:33 p.m. here too. And they came online so intensely that my being could no longer function in the outer world. I feel worried about sharing this experience. See, this is me working through a block in real time. 17. I was turning 27. I thought I was joining the 27 club, and which is kind of dark, but I had an abrupt awakening after living very much in ego consciousness. My family and my friend group at the time, nobody was I don't want to say spiritually aware, because I think we're always spiritually aware on some level, but they were completely baffled as to the experiences I was having, complete remembrances of past lives, overwhelming waves of Kundalini energy. I would sit in a cathartic state of allowing energy to just convulse through my body, to the point where the ambulance was called 3 or 4 times during these experiences that I now know to be Kundalini. It took at least 12 months for me to gain some semblance of understanding about what had happened to me in terms of the Kundalini. Unfortunately, I was sedated. I was put into some gnarly energetic spaces and places that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. I was not self-harming, I was not suicidal, I was not a direct danger to anybody, but my rights were taken away from me for a period of time. And this is my first time sharing this publicly, so I'm feeling like a lot of emotion moving through me too, because I do have a serious fear of being judged or being seen as someone who isn't actually having a valid experience as a result of these traumas. And when this happened, I was hospitalized in the most disturbing mental unit in the public system you could even imagine. It was like a prison, an old, outdated prison. They were about to get an upgrade and move to a new hospital. So this was like one of the oldest hospitals, so run down, the most derelict beings. Like, it was worse than a prison. It honestly felt like I was in a prison. I was so in touch with source and spirit that I felt held in a bliss bubble of light, but also really horrific things happened. They would hold me down and sedate me against my will because I was under an order. And this is deeply disturbing to the being, to somebody who is having a spiritual experience. Imagine being in a breathwork session state, if you are familiar, or having taken psychedelics and somebody taking you forcibly against your will and putting you in a room and sedating you against your will. Like, security guards would literally come in, they would offer it to me to take a sedative, voluntarily. And I was like, I don't need that. I need to be outside in nature. I don't need to be in this institution, in this prison cell, because this is just not conducive to healing. And I studied psychology. I did my undergraduate degree in my early 20s. I knew all of the psych testing that they were doing to me. I knew exactly what was happening, but I didn't know the process of the spiritual awakening that I was going through. I didn't know about the potency of Kundalini energy. I was not seeking a Kundalini awakening. I'd been practicing yoga for some years, but I did a fast and I spent a lot of time in nature and I read The Power of Now. And what actually happened was a Kundalini awakening. And the number of people that I meet now that have had a really similar experience, some paranormal experience, or they've, had a mushroom high and it's taken them extra time to decompress and come out of that. They are just not tending to those spaces in a way that is creating less harm. So this has been a deeply disturbing experience for me in my early awakening years, and it really has inhibited, even until recent years, my capacity to express my mystical experience and to feel safe about doing so. So if you're listening to this, thank you for hearing, thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. Yes, I was institutionalized for some weeks, off and on, as these Kundalini experiences would happen. For whatever reason, I chose not to surround myself with any practitioner or any spiritually awakened being, no one even close to the spectrum of conscious. It was just full, hard, fast, ego-driven, institution-driven, matrix-driven experiences through my early awakening years. And then slowly I met a mindfulness therapist and mentor who supported me to gain some deeper understanding of what was happening. So that was my early years. And then in 2021, I then developed like quite a deep meditative consciousness. I went back to working in quite a harsh environment, accessing past life recollection, soul gifts, and it influenced the way that they related to me. So I felt like an alien in my own body. I felt like a foreign person compared to who I used to be pre-Kundalini experiences. So there was, some deep distortion and unclear experience happening in my life for those years. Developed quite a Buddhist mentality, mindfulness, and was serving and practicing yoga in the yoga space over this time too. My capacity to relate to my peers and those on the path was very affected because I had this extreme fear of expressing about my mystical experience. When I'd gone through the institutionalization in 2017, I'd been grilled about what I was perceiving in the spiritual world to the point where it really infected my being. You can probably feel the closure in me as I'm even saying that. To have a psychiatrist and a psychologist sit there and pull apart your premonitions or your experiences of a soulmate or a past life, when they're not open to that. Some people are who practice in this space. These beings would just, they wanted to prove that I was crazy, dissociated, out of touch with reality. And yeah, it was very disturbing to the spirit, very disturbing. So in 2021, I had normal life. A new version of normal life had like resumed, and we can't go back to sleep. That's part of the beauty, and we can see it however we desire. There's certainly been days where I just thought, why can I just not turn this off now? I don't want to see spirits. I don't want to see all of these things. I can't sleep. I cannot eat certain foods anymore. So in 2021, I had this 3-hour activation that ended up going for maybe like 3 or 4 days with the Arcturian Council of the Light. Started seeing alternate realities. My galactic gifts came online, and I finally started to understand why my experiences, what I'd been seeing, my telepathy was next level. Like I'd sit with someone and their higher self, I'd just be like, I had no boundaries at that time between what was coming into my crown. My psychosensory was just, there was no boundary, there was no separation between me and source. So I'd sit with someone and their higher self would be like I could intuit and feel and hear and know exactly what their higher self was offering. But when their mouth opened, they were so disconnected from that, and it created so much confusion in how I was relating to people, because like what comes out of someone's mouth and what their higher self is saying, a lot of the time it's just not that well, it wasn't for me at the time. It wasn't that cohesive. I wish for every being to be in attunement with that space and to speak from that space, including myself. Reminding myself to just, access that space. It's quite a charged topic for me to share about this randomly. But here we go, here we are. Feeling a little exposed, which is quite a common thing for anyone experiencing magical gifts coming back online. I now support people through this process of re-embodying those magical lifetimes in the star planets, in other realms. Lots of extra sensory skills that we need to learn to integrate if we haven't had the opportunity to stay connected to those from childhood. Also working a lot with starseeds who come through with those aspects of themselves still connected like we all do originally, and supporting families, grids, and spaces to allow the authentic soul self to remain connected to the soul, to the human, and to express through the human safely. And I can see why I chose to have these experiences. The distortion and the chaos that was created through my system was, it's unnecessary. It doesn't need to happen like that, but I can understand in order to get these codes back to earth, we needed to, my guides call it the Trojan horse. So then to get the star seeds back to earth, they kind of had to hide us in really dense situations to allow for the blossoming, like the lotus at this time of awakening. When the planet had reached a certain point, the DNA can then activate within us and we can serve, we can blossom, and the lotus flower opens and the full expression of the soul's codes can come online. 2020. So yes, in 2020, I asked my guides, can I access the Akashic records? Can I please have access if it serves my soul? And I felt like tingly. I was in a very dense vibration at that time, working back in matrix grids, and resubscribed, unfortunately, to my checklist of life that I had learned would create success for me. So I unsubscribed, resubscribed out of fear, and then totally unsubscribed once I came into my galactic self. And that was a really alchemical time. 2021 to like 2023, I would say, was a full-time ascension gig. I was 24/7 aligning to my soul mission. Every waking, breathing moment was in tune with the team that were guiding me. I did not have much comfort in any aspect of my life. You cannot hide from yourself, and I was going all in, and I definitely short-circuited my field a few times in doing so, but I've learned so many things about this experience of being human and what I came here for, who I am. And that's really only solidified within me in recent times. Who am I at the core? Who is my soul, and how much of my soul is being expressed through my body? How can I actualize all of myself in this life so that I'm living in alignment with the current of all that is and serving and expressing from here? Because when we are in tune with that place and charging our life with that, we are no longer programmable by anything around us. We're no longer programmable by systems of distortion or control. The matrix doesn't affect us anymore. It's the unplugging is complete when we are untouchable by those things. And I'm beginning to learn just how much we can harness our power in the world of forms to elicit change. My power has terrified me for many years. We are so powerful when we are embodied in our soul. And I've let that hold me back for too long. I've lived in fear, lived someone else's expression of what I'm here to do. And by that I mean, through the lens of Buddhist teachings, I'm here to live as close to a bodhisattva as I can. Through the lens of the Galactic teachings, I'm here to teach and awaken and activate people's soul missions. And whilst aspects of these things may occur, I'm no longer creating my entire identity out of those things. Firstly, I'm a human, and that was missing for me for some time. I was, trying to live from that stream of consciousness of I'm a yogi, I'm a bodhisattva. And there becomes a kind of subtle distortion in the energy field when the humanity isn't behind that. So I take total responsibility for that and have cleared any distortion from the field and pray that it just clears and unblocks anyone who's in my field for that time, with me moving from that level of what I knew at the time. And coming home to the self. Who are we behind closed doors? Who are we when we are reading our emails in our jammies? Who are we when we are just living and being and enjoying? That, for me, that was missing. I was trying to be my mission. I was trying to be a yogi. And there's a difference there. I'm not sure if you can feel the quality of that. It feels deeply comfortable to come home to the seat of my heart and my womb and feel all of me here. My expression, my radiance, my capacity to be honest with myself, to feel emotions, and to accept myself lovingly is there. I no longer feel like I need to try and embody self-love. When I sit and have my soul in alignment with my body, there is no separation between that. There is nothing but self-love, but love. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. I want you to just put your hands on your heart or your belly or your womb for me now and just tune in. What's here for you? How can you feel totally in alignment with your soul right now? Thank you for being here. And if you've gotten this far, thank you for listening, and thank you for your presence and your essence in the world. May all beings be in alignment with who they really are, the truth of their divine selves. And I wish a current and a wave of love to move through this earth so miraculously that we all come completely home to our hearts and our wombs and our inner beings, knowing the charge is there. We're doing it, family. Family of light. I love you and I see you. And reach out if you want to share any aspects of your own experience. I will go into details about some of the experiences that I've had in next posts if I don't get too much, what do they call it? A vulnerability hangover. But I feel when I'm in my heart that to be sharing authentically is serving somehow some other soul out there. So even if one person feels more able to express, live, or feel less shame around their own experience, then I guess my service here is done. Many blessings to you. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Lots of love.